Speaking of good choices, the movie we had a review was called Do the Right Thing. Released on June 30th of 1989. It's written, directed, and produced by the one and only Spike Lee. This movie grossed $37.3 million at the box office. I would like an inflation calculator handy because I would like to know what $37.3 million in 1989 money translates to today.
All right.
Yeah.
Good. Some of the cast of characters. You have Spike Lee as Mookie, Danny Aiello as Sal, Ossie Davis as DeMayor, Ruby Dee as Mother Sister, Giancarlo Esposito as Buggin' Out, Bill Nunn as Radio Raheem, John Turturro as Pino, Richard Edson as Vito, Roger Smith as Smiley, Rosie Perez making her feature film debut as Tina, and Martin Lawrence as C, and also one in an early role, Samuel L. motherfucking Jackson
Yep.
as Mr. Senor Love Daddy,
Yes.
who is the radio host at the local radio station. Now, this movie is the story of, and it all takes place in one day,
Yes.
of a pizza shop in the Bedford-Stuyvesant section of Brooklyn, New York. If you don't know anything about Bed-Stuy, I've been through Bed-Stuy a time or two.
Okay.
It's a heavily Hispanic and African American neighborhood, and this is a story about a pizza shop owned by an Italian American man named Sal, and run by him and his two sons, Pino and Vito, in this heavily ethnic neighborhood. And the story of there's a bunch of, like Spike Lee does in a lot of his movies, there's a bunch of intersecting stories and interweaving stories. And Sal's famous pizza, is an institution in the neighborhood. They've been there forever.
25 years.
25 years. Now, Sal, at his heart, seems like a very good guy.
Yes.
He's there, he loves the neighborhood, he loves the people.
Yes.
Pino is an asshole.
He's a little racist.
A little.
He's not the only one in the film that's racist.
No, I mean there's racism in, and it's not just the Italians that have racist tendencies in this film. But Pino is not. He's actively trying to get his dad to close up the shop,
Correct.
and move the shop.
Yes.
And he's abusive to Vito, his younger brother.
Yep.
And I can't get behind. I'm sorry. One thing I couldn't get behind was John Turturro playing a heavy.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
he doesn't play a lot of heavies.
No.
Yeah, I couldn't get behind John. No, sorry, the dude from Quiz Show playing the fucking heavy. No, I can't get behind him.
Yeah, and what's the when Barton Fink?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the guy, and he played Jay Leno.
Yeah, and and the Section 7 guy from the Transformers.
Yeah,
He's done a lot of great stuff, but he's never played the heavy well.
right. But Buggin' Out goes into. Buggin' Out is. Let's do a little character dive on Buggin' Out here. Buggin' Out, he's very much a Black Power guy.
Yes.
Is the way it seems.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, I find absolutely zero wrong with being proud of who you are.
Correct.
And your heritage. But Buggin' Out goes into Sal's Pizza, and he sees that Sal has, and how.
Well, first he's arguing about the fucking slice of
Yeah,
pizza.
he
how
wants
much
more
it is.
cheese, and yeah.
And Sal tells him, he goes, "How much is the pizza?" He goes, "You've been here 3 times today. It's $1.50."
Well, here's what I don't get about the prices, though. Extra cheese is more expensive than another slice? Buy another
No. It was
No.
50 cents extra. $2 if you want extra cheese.
Oh, I thought he meant the $2.
No. A slice with extra cheese is.
Oh, well,
$2.
that just changed the whole fucking movie for me.
Anyway, so Buggin' Out goes in and he gets his slice of pizza, And then he sits down and starts eating, and he takes notice. And this is kind of one of those things that 25 years into, and you're finally seeing this. He sees that Sal has a wall of fame, and there's Italian Americans on the wall of fame.
Yes.
And Bugging Out asks Sal why there's no brothers on this wall of fame. And Danny Aiello Sal kind of handles it a little heavy-handed. He says, if you want to put brothers on your wall of fame, open up your own place.
Correct. Bugging Out gets a little mouthy.
Yeah, Bugging Out gets a little mouthy, and so Sal has Mookie, who works for him as a delivery driver for $250 a week, and that'll come into play later.
I said to him, I said, what fucking pizza delivery man makes $250 a week cash?
In 89.
In 89. Yeah. But so he has Mookie throw Bugging Out of the restaurant.
Yes.
And now Bugging Out gets this idea that he's going to organize a boycott of Sal's Famous Pizza. And in the interim, we're introduced to a few more of the characters in the neighborhood. We're introduced to Jade and C and the group of young African Americans that are just coming around because now they're popped the fire plug.
Yes.
Okay, now they popped the fire plug because it's a balls out hot day.
Yes. It was in the 90s.
And so they open up the fire hydrant, and the first time we see the two cops come through. I can't remember their names off the top of my head.
I can't either.
One of them was Danny Aiello's brother.
Yeah.
Which, not the cop, but the person who played him was Danny Aiello's brother.
Yeah.
So, the cops come and run everybody off.
Well, it's because they
kind of ruined that guy's Cadillac.
You know what? You knew that was going to happen.
Wait.
Oh, I knew that was going to happen too.
If he would have kept his fucking mouth shut, they would have diverted the water like they did.
But what the hell? What the hell did he say when the cops were asking for their names? I don't know their fucking names. Of Jay and John. What's their last names? And the guy's like, I don't know, fucking Black. Oh, so they're brothers?
Yeah. But yeah. But if that guy in the old caddy, and I did feel sorry for the caddy.
Oh.
Because if he would have kept his fucking mouth shut.
Did you recognize that guy?
Yeah, he was in the Sopranos.
Oh, he was in Goodfellas too.
He was in Goodfellas.
He was the one that said, "Get your shine box."
Yep.
Billy Bats.
Yep.
Yes.
Billy Bats. But so they, that goes on, and now Tina. We're introduced to Tina and her son. What the hell, Hector? Hector is Mookie's son.
Correct.
And Tina is trying to get Mookie to come and visit, and Tina's mom doesn't like Mookie.
Nope.
At all. So there's some racism there.
Yes.
Because she thinks he's a no good black guy and yada yada yada. And now you have the three older African American cats sitting around.
All movie managers.
All movie
shit.
Yep.
Oh,
just
God.
sitting there talking shit and about the Korean deli owner.
Because I think the one was in the Korean War.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, so some of the best lines came from those guys.
Yes.
Man, you're 30 cents short of a quarter.
The one guy saying he can beat up Mike Tyson.
Yeah. And the one name I remember because it was they used it in the Friday movies. It was Sweet Dick Willie.
That's it. Sweet Dick Willie.
Yeah. So, and then we're also introduced to Radio Raheem.
Yes.
Radio Raheem is a younger black cat who's now, keep in mind, this is 1989, folks, and boomboxes were a big thing.
Yep.
And he was a big boy.
And he was a big boy. And he had a big boombox.
Yes, he did.
With one tape in it, which I was questioning
It
early.
was the same song all the time.
Yeah, well, it was the same album, but I was questioning that early on. And then finally someone later addressed that in the movie. Don't you have any more songs on that? What's wrong with Public Enemy? I'm like, okay, they're acknowledging it.
Right.
Here's one tape.
Yeah. Throughout the entire movie, every time you see Radio Raheem, you hear Fight the Power by
Yes.
Public Enemy.
Yes.
Wonderful song.
Yep, and he goes up against the Latinos who have a boombox of their own.
Yep. And they
And-
back down.
Yep, they back down. He has an argument with the Korean about 20 D batteries.
Yep.
And again, it seemed like everybody in this movie has some sort of a fucking attitude problem about something.
Well, then he goes into the pizza shop
Yeah.
with his fucking radio blaring, puts it on the counter, says 2 slices. And Sal says, shut off the fucking radio.
Right.
Yeah,
2 slices.
yeah, it's
So they
just-
get into a little bit of an argument. Finally, the kid
Well,
shuts it
that's-
off.
Yeah,
No, that was not long. You know, it's kind of running. I'm just showing how
Yeah,
he's running
it's
into
just-
people.
Yeah. So Radio Raheem finally shuts off the radio. And we get a little interesting little soliloquy from Radio Raheem. And I found it and I put it out because I want to do the whole thing and I want to do it right.
Okay.
Radio Raheem on each hand has knuckle dusters.
That's right.
One says love on the right hand, and the left hand says hate. And he gives a little speech about the significance of that. It says, "Let me tell you of the story of the left hand and the right hand, of the right hand, left hand. It's a tale of good and evil. Hate. It was with this hand that Cain iced his brother." And he shows his left hand.
And he's saying this to Mookie, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, well, Mookie had walked away at this point.
Okay.
Or walked out a shot anyway.
Yeah.
And then he says, "Love," and he holds up his right hand, says, "These 5 fingers, they go straight to the soul of a man. The right hand, the hand of love, the story of life is this, static. One hand is always fighting the other hand," and he's shadowboxing at this point. "The left hand is kicking much ass. I mean, it looks like the right hand, love, is finished. But hold on, stop the presses. The right hand is coming back. Yeah, he's got the left hand on the ropes. Now that's right. Ooh, it's a devastating right. And hate is hurt. He's down. Left hand, hate, KO'd by love." That's pretty fucking profound if you sit and think about it. And that's going to become even more profound a little later in the movie. Because now, as I said earlier, Bugging Out is trying to get this boycott going.
Yeah.
And he finally gets or 2 people to join in with him. Radio Raheem and another guy we haven't talked about yet, Smiley. Smiley is a mentally disabled young man in the neighborhood who sells pictures of famous people. Like, throughout the movie, he's trying to sell Mookie a picture of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. And then Mookie finally, yeah, okay, I'll see me after I get paid. Well, Bugging Out gets these 2 to go with him on his boycott. So they go back into Sal's. And Raheem and Sal start yelling at each other.
Well, now, if I remember correctly, they were closing the store. It was 11 o'clock.
What's up, Doug?
They were closing the store,
Yeah.
and a couple of
The
neighborhood kids.
The 4 kids that were picking on
Martin Lawrence
the mayor.
and-
Yeah. They wanted to come in and get one last slice of pizza.
Yeah.
And Sal said, okay, let him in. We'll, put a pizza on. And then, boom.
Yeah. Well, hang on. Let's rewind this a little bit. Pino's pissed off now
Yes.
because he wants to close up the store.
Correct.
But Sal, being a neighborhood guy, all right, let's take care of these.
Yes.
Well, at this point now, Bugging Out, Raheem, and Smiley come in. And they start in with some shit on Sal and his sons, and they call them a bunch of guinea bastards. And with that, Sal grabs a bat.
Because of the radio, mainly.
Because of he's telling them to turn the fucking radio down.
Yes.
Turn, over and over. Turn the fucking radio down. And then the guinea bastards line comes out. So Sal, for the first time in the movie, uses the N-word. Now, Pino's used it a few times during this whole thing. Sal calls Raheem the N-word. And then takes the bat to the radio.
Correct.
He never hits Raheem.
Nope.
He never hits Bugging Out.
Nope.
He destroys the radio. And with that, Raheem drags Sal over the counter.
the fucking counter because he's a big boy, as we said.
And he starts strangling him.
Yes.
And everybody's trying to pull Raheem off of Sal.
Yes.
And the cops show up. And it's the same two cops from earlier in the day. And they pull Raheem off of Sal and apply a chokehold with a baton. Go ahead.
That cop did not seem that big to lift him up because they showed his feet were not on the ground.
Yeah, that's for dramatic effect, though.
Okay, but yeah, puts the
I
nightstick
think he
around
was. I
his...
think he was a taller cop. That's probably why he was hired as that.
Yeah. But he puts... and this isn't like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu chokehold that is nowadays taught to law enforcement. Okay, or a control hold. This is using his fucking nightstick, and he ends up killing Raheem. And now they've cuffed a few other people because now. They've cuffed a few other people.
No, it didn't. They put Raheem. They just picked him up and threw him in the back of the car.
Threw him in the back of the car.
Bugging Out was in another car.
They realized they fucked up.
And I don't think they arrested anybody at that moment.
Because then
Smiley lit the match.
Well, no.
No.
Okay, then what happened is everybody's looking at Sal, and he's just like, nobody knows what to say, and he's just like, didn't turn his radio down.
Right.
It's like, or just it was something just, and now that whole thing could have de-escalated in a minute, but then Mookie,
yes,
the guy who worked there, who he basically called him his son before all this thing went down.
Yeah.
Grabs a trash can.
Yep.
Smashes through the window, and then all hell breaks loose.
Yes.
And at this point, DeMayor, DeMayor, we didn't talk about him very much, but he's the mayor of the neighborhood.
Yeah, he's my favorite character.
So, just an older black gentleman who's
been through some shit.
Wise as all hell. He's trying to pull Sal and his sons away from this fucking angry mob. Trying to back them up because now they're all pissed off because of what happened to Raheem. And DeMayor's trying to de-escalate the situation. It wasn't their fault. They didn't do it. It was the fucking cops.
Yeah. Yep.
Essentially. And that's when Mookie fires the trash can.
Yeah.
And that just fucking sets shit off.
Yep. And then everybody goes in, fucking lights the place on fire.
I think they had the Smiley character do it because he honestly seemed the most innocent and the one that you, I don't know, couldn't hate for doing it.
Smiley was in there at the end.
No, but Smiley lit the match and dropped it.
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Smiley's the one who lit the match.
Okay.
Who lit the match and dropped it and set the pizza shop on fire.
And he also put the picture up at the end, but it was like...
Yes, he did.
Yeah. He hung the picture of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King at the end. But so now Smiley lights the pizza joint on fire. And the rest of the crowd now is going towards Sonny's Market.
Yeah. Which
Sonny is the Korean deli owner.
Which was like, what the hell? I was
Yeah.
like, what the hell?
And Sonny's standing there, him and his wife, and he's standing there, and he's like screaming at these people, what are you doing? Essentially, what are you doing? I'm black just like you. And they finally like, wait a minute. He's not the fucking enemy. He's not the enemy. And now is when shit really gets fucked up because the fire department shows up. And in between bouts of trying to knock the fire down at Sal's Pizza, they're turning the hoses on the crowd.
I think the firemen were getting attacked, weren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, they were going toward the firemen and the cops.
Yeah.
So they turned the hoses, which is a tactic that's been used
Yeah.
by law enforcement before.
Mm-hmm.
So now we've reached the end of all of this. And like you said, you see actually
It's
Mookie,
Sal and Mookie out in front of the shop.
yeah, Sal and Mookie. And Mookie's like, Mookie wants to get paid.
Get paid. I'm like, I cannot believe how generous he was after this kid just basically destroyed his whole fucking shop. Didn't Mookie say, the insurance will take care of this anyway? Didn't he say something like that?
Yeah.
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 I'm thinking he's not gonna want to come back in this neighborhood.
But now this is after, and we kind of see a little bit about what Mookie might really be all about, because he goes and talks to Sal after having an argument with Tina.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "Don't leave. If you walk out that door, do not come back."
Well, he had a job.
Yeah. Well, there's a time and a place to do what's right. And I kind of faulted Mookie for leaving under those circumstances a little bit.
I honestly felt like out of everyone there, he was like the absolute worst character.
Well, can we not talk about the fact that he shares an apartment with his sister who he sleeps with?
What?
Yeah, they share a bed.
It didn't seem like they shared a bed.
He was on top of her in the morning.
I thought he was in a different room.
I think he was in the bathroom and went into the bed.
Okay. Well, anyway.
Yeah.
But
Go ahead with the end, bud.
but yeah, so now, well, hang on. We jumped ahead a little bit because while the building is still smoldering, Smiley put that picture up.
Yes.
Yeah.
But now Mookie goes and in a pretty fucking scumbaggish move, the man's business is just burned down and you're fucking largely responsible for it. And he goes and asks for his money.
Mm-hmm.
So Danny Aiello, he owes him $250. He wads up 5 $100 bills and throws them at him.
Yep.
So he throws two back at him. He says, "I owe you $50. My pay is $250 a week. I owe you $50. And there's kind of an uneasy.
A written understanding. It was an understanding that I don't think would ever happen in real life between two people, which was just weird.
It was a very fucking weird thing, but like Mookie walks away. Kind of him and Sal kind of have an understanding.
Who mentioned the son though? Didn't Mookie say I have a son too? And then he picked up the extra money?
Yeah. Yeah, Mookie has Mookie mentions that he has, because Sal says about his sons, and then Mookie says, "Well, I have a son too," and yada yada yada. And that's kind of how the movie ends. But before the credits start, we're given 2 quotes. The first quote is by Dr. Martin Luther King. And that quote is, "Violence as a way of achieving racial justice is both impractical and immoral. It's impractical because it is a descending spiral ending in destruction for all. The old law of an eye for an eye leaves everybody blind. It is immoral because it seeks to humiliate the opponent rather than to win his understanding. It seeks to annihilate rather than to convert. Violence is immoral because it thrives on hatred rather than love." And if you know anything about Dr. King, he was
Always a peaceful protester.
peaceful resistance.
Yes.
Because he understood the old adage that you will catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. And unfortunately, it got him killed. And then we're given a quote by a man who was in a lot of, for most of his life and most of his time as an activist, the polar opposite of what Dr. King was. And that's Malcolm X. Malcolm X didn't see the light of, or see the value of peaceful resistance until much later in his life, after his journey to Mecca, when he prayed with white Muslims and Arabic Muslims. Okay, he saw that, that was when he realized that deep down we're all just fucking human, and that's what got him killed. But the quote from Malcolm X: "I think there are plenty of good people in America, but there are also plenty of bad people in America, and the bad ones are the ones who seem to have all of the power and to be in these positions to block things that you and I need. Because this is the situation. You and I have to preserve the right to do what is necessary to bring an end to that situation, and it doesn't mean that I advocate violence, but at the same time, I'm not against using violence in self-defense. I don't even call it violence when it's self-defense. I call it intelligence." Two very interesting quotes that kind of sum up the civil rights movement, especially in the 60s, and in a lot of ways the civil rights issues that are going on to this day.
Yeah.
Because you still have hardline militant members of the Nation of Islam who are not opposed to violence. Minister Farrakhan.
I was going to say, yeah.
Minister Farrakhan is one of the first ones to preach violence.
Yep.
And then you still have others that are on the path of Dr. King. Now, this movie was... this was another one I had the boys watch with me. Jesse, in all fairness, Jesse tapped out about halfway through. Jesse I'm going upstairs. Alistair sat and watched the whole thing with me. And Alistair's take on it was it started slow, like a lot of Spike Lee movies do. And you kind of gotta know what you're getting into to watch a Spike Lee movie. By the time the movie was all over, Alistair and I were both like, wow, that was really fucking good. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I give it 4 stars out of 5.
I told Bill today, I said, if I'd have known you put a Spike Lee movie in the fucking bucket, I'd have kicked you in the ass. Never saw a Spike Lee movie. I can't stand that guy. To me, he's a fucking prick. I said to him, you remember when he used to sit courtside at Knicks games and just fucking harass the fucking players all the time?
It's his right. He paid for the seats.
Yeah, but Jesus Christ. And I knew there was going to be a moment, and right at the end, there it is. But it was a decent movie.
It was much better than a piece of shit we watched last week. On all accounts.
No.
On all accounts.
No.
This movie told a story that was a poignant story. It was a human story.
You're not wrong.
This movie, and it was the dialogue was in. Hang on, I don't want to rip on. I don't want to rip on Days of Thunder. I would much rather enjoy talk about how much I enjoyed this movie.
Do you know what was weird though? It took place in quote unquote 1989.
Not quote unquote. It took place in 1989.
How come every single car was from the 70s? Did you notice that? Pintos, fucking Gremlins.
Have you ever been to Bed-Stuy?
No, but I was just like, that was odd.
This is because it was my movie. I watched in living color.
Right.
I did not know anything about this movie going into it. The only references that I thought were about this movie were in living color episode where they had a Spike Lee joint, which was Spike Lee as Tommy Davidson, basically and hawking merchandise.
Yes,
the Mo Better Butter expense.
Mo Better Buddy and you better makes every bite better.
Yeah, and every purchase comes with a free copy of School Days.
Yep,
which people still didn't want.
Right,
but like all the references were all in there, kind of about this movie. And that was more. when I made up the two movies that I put in the thing, I looked at the 100 movies from the 80s.
Right.
Greatest movies from the 80s. And I picked a bunch of them that I'd never seen because that's just kind of the way I like to watch movies.
Right.
This and the other one were two that I had never seen. So when I watched this, it was a little bit of a culture shock. I'm not going to lie. It was.
I get that.
I just felt like there was like almost no redeemable characters in the movie except for the younger brother
Yes.
Vito.
and
Yes.
Samuel L. Jackson's character. Yeah, everybody else seemed to be trying to start shit everywhere else. But of course, it's also New York City at the time in '89.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think Spike Lee had a definite message to put out there, but those two quotes at the end almost kind of went against what the movie said. Because now, was "do the right thing" means that Mookie did not do the right thing?
No,
Yeah.
he didn't.
Yeah, like
It was like those two quotes contradicted themselves.
no,
Well,
I don't think they contradicted themselves. Because,
No, they don't. They don't really contradict themselves. It's two ways to the same end. It's two ways to the same end. And essentially what Malcolm X's quote is saying is violence really isn't violence if it's self-defense.
yeah, I think most of the characters in the movie though were very, I'm gonna say I think they were well developed.
Oh, yeah.
You could get their stories and figure out kind of who they were by their dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't make them likable. Some bugging out, and I know that's Esposito has done great things after this.
Yeah.
I mean, he is one of the most. He is one of the most famous. I want to say, he plays a lot of bad guys all the time.
Yeah. I like the character bugging out. The character served its purpose.
Yeah.
He was a fucking shit disturber.
Yes, he was. He was a shit starter, and that's what he did.
Yeah.
To do, I mean, a lot of societal change has to happen by the shit starters.
Yeah, and I get that, but you know the one is the thing that happens all too often is somebody else becomes collateral damage because
Yes.
of what the fucking shit starters do.
Yes.
Correct.
Thus, the death of Radio Raheem.
Yes.
Yeah. And if they wanted to boycott it, that's well within boycott it.
Right.
But then don't go in there. You don't have to announce your boycott. You don't have to. And you know the thing, even though this was '89, I mean, you change a few things on it. It's the story of today.
Yeah. George Floyd.
Yeah. Not only that, just people that want to boycott everything they don't like under the sun.
Yeah. Cancel
Yeah.
culture.
It's not
no-
cancel culture. It is just. It's not because it's hard to say it that way because it's not a culture. It's just somebody doesn't like something. They want everybody to jump on one bandwagon or another to stop it. And like I said, a lot of people don't even understand what they're trying to boycott.
You're
Right.
correct.
It's manufactured outrage.
Yes.
It's manufactured
Yeah.
outrage.
Now, like I said, that this guy bugging out, I should say, don't go in there. Then, if you don't like it, don't go in there. If you don't want your friends going in there, tell them not to go in there.
yeah.
But he went in. They went in there with the sole purpose that they were gonna start shit. And I don't think they thought what was gonna happen. It's not like it's like a planned thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you see this now going on in stores where people take their cameras out, go in to start shit, and then are like outraged. What do you mean you called the police?
Yeah.
It's like
I don't know, but I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a really well done movie, a very enjoyable thing.
I think the story of itself was fine. I don't like Spike Lee's directing style. I'm gonna put it out there. I don't like his because he doesn't. The scenes like he would have basically one shots. The conversations took place between people, but in solo, like almost like in front of the camera.
Yeah. One thing I don't like about Spike Lee's directing style is his overuse of stupid, nonsensical camera angles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's one thing I don't like.
But I think like Radio Raheem was always shot at a low angle.
Well, that's
To
emphasize his height.
Yeah, emphasize his bigness.
Yeah. Alistair gave it 4 out of 5 too. But by the way,
I'm going 2.5.
I don't even know if I want. I don't know how I would, because I think if I on a second watching, I might rate it different than on the first. Like I said, this is my first time.
Well,
I honestly have no idea. It's not something that I'm gonna like actively like. Oh my god, this movie's on. You gotta watch it. But it's also not something where I'd say, God, don't watch that movie.
right?
no, and you're not wrong there.
You know what I mean? I think this is a movie that should be watched.
Yes.
I agree of it being on the top 100 movies from the 80s list. I agree. It is not, just like Days of Thunder is not your style of movie.
Right.
This one wasn't my style,
Yeah,
but I don't think anybody should avoid it.
Right. Whereas on the other hand, I think Days of Thunder should be fucking avoided.
And what was up every time? Is this the right address? Remember that?
Yeah.
Even so, what do you mean? Is it the right address?
I will say
Well,
this.
because he was given wrong
Yeah.
addresses before.
I will say this though, and this is not against the movie as much as it is Rosie Perez. So far I have never seen a movie I like her character in.
yeah. I'm not a big fan of Rosie Perez.
What else has she been in?
White Men Can't Jump.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Rosie Perez, but all in all, I gotta commend you, Bill. Good job, good choice.
Oh, okay. I honestly I wasn't sure what, because I was like, after watching, I'm like, what the? I was,
Yes. Me.
and I'm very much of the mindset, man. You don't like Days of Thunder, man. I don't know.
No, I like movies that are intelligent.
Okay, I'm not gonna.
I like
Cerebral.
Yeah, and this one made you fucking think. I really I enjoyed it.
All right.
Thank you very much.